Right then, here we are. Good evening. It's Sunday afternoon, or Sunday evening now. It's 5, is it? Past 5 o'clock. Dark nights are dark, aren't they? So it's a bit more miserable. But anyways, right. Pretty much FAQ. Now, people have been asking me for ages about different lines I use for specimen fishing, to the river, float fishing, feeder fishing, spomming, everything. You always ask me that. I don't know why. I mean, I suppose lines like how you like your women, I suppose, isn't it? You know. I don't know. Some people it is. But I'm pretty simple. I use a couple of lines that I find cheap. They're very reliable, very strong, very good. I'm going to quickly talk you through them just so you have an idea what I use, so you can take that away and do whatever you want. This is, like I say, it's an FAQ that people are always asking me. So I've done one in the past, but obviously as time goes on, I do change. I do like a change every now and again, and I think your main line is probably one of the most, well, in my eyes, it's probably one of the most important bits of tackle that I could have. You know, so it's pretty much it's straightforward, really. What I use 4 breaking strains. So I do a 6, 8, 10, and a 12. Now I've got the 8, 9, 8, 10, and a 12 in this Korda line. It's a carp line from Korda. They are, but the things in way. So there's that. It's about 15 quid for 1,000 metres is this stuff. And it's a one-stop shop, which means, to be fair, it's just one colour. Now, I use the 8 for my roach fishing, so they're on my smaller bait runners and my 12-foot rods, which I can cast well. It's strong enough for roach, perch fishing, or even a bit of small rivers for the chub on my 11-foot rods. It is a decent line. I mean, all lines break past the 8 so you'll probably break at 10. Just as an example, but don't quote me on that. Now it is good casting. It is abrasion resistance, and it is fast sinking. But the fast sinking, really, I mean, I tend to fish with tight lines, so I stick the line under the tip and under the rod tip under the water, and pull it tight, and then just tighten the slack up with the spool on the reel, and then that's how I fish it. So I've got a 10, which I use for my bigger bait runners for the tench fishing, and they're my 1.75 rods, and I use them for my bream and tench. I use them for the barbel, chub, wherever I'm at. So that's like a good all-round one. These are 10. On my 2.5 test curve rods with the big bait runners, I will still use 10 again, because I can say it's never let me down. It's very strong. It knots well, and it casts lovely with a 10 pound. I mean, as you can see, the last place I went to was Farlows. I was only fishing 13, 14 wraps, but there's been occasions when I've been fishing a lot further than that with a 3 ounce lead, and it casts no problem. It takes a good old whack. Very rare that I get a crack off. So that is the good size to it all. It is a very good all-round line. The only thing all lines are the same, I suppose, but the thing you got to watch with this line is if you're like me and you do a lot of specimen fishing, and the specimen fishing means you do a lot of helicopter rigs. You'll see me many a time say to you, especially if you're bream fishing in a prolific water like Farlows or Bluebell, and you're constantly catching the fish, or at linear for the tench, when you put your helicopter rig on, so you got your 2 rubber stops and you swivel in between, and you're catching a lot of fish, eventually that line will get weaker with the swivel running up and down that line with the pressure of the fish. With this line, you can pretty tell when it's knackered because it kinks. It literally kinks all areas, and it's just not right. You can feel it. It just looks horrible, and I don't think it looks right. So what I do is, like I say, you've seen me do it many times. I move the beads a bit, about 3 foot up the main line, cut it off, that 6 to 7 inch, and then just retie my feeder on and you're good to go. That is, but all lines do that, so I won't read too much about that. The second line, which is a £6 line, to be quite honest with you, I do think it's Guru, so it's colder again. So I bought the £6 drag line. As you can see, it's 1,000 metres. It's a bit cheaper. So I can't think how much it was off the top of my head. It says £6, so I put on my smaller feeder rod, which I've got a little light quiver tip rod now, which I'm hoping to use this winter on the river for some roach and dace fishing, bit of quiver tipping, maggot fishing. I use that on there because it's just a nice, supple, strong line that I won't have any problems with. So if I do catch a bigger fish, say a barbel or a good chub, chances of getting it in a lot better than if it was a £3 breaking strain line. So that's that one. So that's for me. I actually use it on my float rod as well, by the way, that one. But I've took the old line. I used to use Daiwa Sensor a lot. I've taken that line, the Daiwa Sensor, off my reel, and that's a sort of spool for my float rod. That's a different line, which I'll get to in a second. And I replaced it with a £6 drag line. I've always had £6 on my reel float rod. If need be, I'll use a fluorocarbon hook link if I need to go a bit thinner, just for the warier fish or a smaller fish. But I do like the stronger line. So if I'm tench fishing in the margins, or I'm doing it bream fishing or whatever with a float rod, I know I'm going to be covered. If I catch a decent carp, I'm going to get it in. So that's that one. The other line I do use, this is, I think it's £3 is this line. You can see it's a different colour. That's the Drennan float fish line. That's just like for me when I'm on the rivers, say I'm fishing for roach, a bit of dace fishing, just for a bit of pleasure fishing really on rivers. It floats well, it's decent. If I caught a big fish like a big barbel, I probably won't land it on that line. I think it'll probably snap it, especially if there's a bit of flow in the water. I said just use that for my roach fishing on the rivers. And obviously with my spools, there's a picture. I'll show it you now. I redid all my lines just recently. So all these, my bait runner reels. So I've got 2 of these. That's £8. So I write on them what test curve breaking strain it is, so I know it's only common sense. So I've got 2 of them of 8, and I've got 2 of 10. The spools that I have here are my spare spool lines. So if I get a crack off, or I get, like I did at the Farlows the last time I was there, some twat, couldn't place fish, and it took both my lines out, literally on the last night. It took them all out. It took a lot of line. I've got line to replace the spools with. I'm always, I always carry spare line, because there's nothing worse when that happens. Like I said, I don't ever told you about it in the video, but some tit decided to fish quite close to me, and he caught a decent sized carp, and obviously I don't know if it was off his head or what he was doing, but it took him a while to get to the bloody rod, even though it's next to him, and it come kiting round. It took all my rods out, all 2 of them, and it just stripped line, and I couldn't. Obviously he's playing it and the fish is going, and it's just absolutely mullering both my rods, and it took a lot of line. So I always carry a new spool, a new line. You can't beat new line, but I always carry an 8, a 10 and a 12 to be on the safe side, because that sadly to say, that does happen when you get idiots. And the other thing that I'm going to mention is spomming. Now, as you know, I like to spom. I like to do my spomming, and my lead work, finding the features. This is the old reel that I've been using for about 10 years now, I think. It's a Shimano. It's never let me down. I've had different lines over the years. I used to have that Fish Tech, the banana braid. That was a lot of pants. It might as well be a banana for what use it was, and it wasn't the best. It really wasn't. And I've had a few lines over the years. But to be honest, the last 3 years I've been using someone from a Kinetic braid. It's called the Spod braid Kinetic, and it's £35. You get 250 meters of this stuff, and I've got to admit it's a nice green, but it doesn't last. I've had this now for about 3 years. The line that's on this particular reel, this one here, as you can see, it's got a lot lighter green. In some places it's white. That's because it gets used, and I do enjoy getting my bait out for the fishing when you bring fishing. This line has never let me down. This line, it's expensive. It's about 23 quid. I've got a couple of spare spool again, as you can see, and there's one already on. Like I say, it's been on here 2 years. It's never let me down. Obviously, you do lose bits of line when you cut it off at the end if it starts to fray at the end, you know. But it is well and truly still got plenty of line on there for what I need it for. It's obviously got a backing line underneath that as well. Now this line, I use it for obviously my spod. I use it for my marker foot, and I also use it for my little rake. I don't know if any of you have seen my little rake. My little rake, I use if I'm tench fishing. Really just like underarm swing it out just to bring some weed back. It's never snapped. It is proper strong, and the knots on it, when you do a knot, it just doesn't come undone. It is really very abrasion resistant. It is just, it's like old boots. It is tough as old boots. And I tell you what it is, if you are in the market for some new spod braid, I know it's £35. I don't even use a leader on this. I just cast it as it is. It's that strong, and I'm that confident in it. It's never let me down. I mean, I can get over 140 yard with a 4 ounce lead on it and give it a good whack, and it's never ever been a problem to me. Never. And it is just, like I say, it's not cheap, but it's very good. Now, also, as you'd see, we're having a lot of reels, a lot of spools. It is a pain in the arse taking the line off your reels. So here's another plug. I've had this for a good number of years. It's the Blakely line stripper. I'll be buggered without that, to be honest. You know, like I say, I do try and do my lines at least once a year, if not twice, if I'm using them a lot. Obviously that hasn't happened this last couple of years, or the last few years with COVID and everything else. I've been doing it once a year. But that line stripper makes life so much easier. So much easier. Also, and I'll tell you something else really quickly, that when I was it the last video I did at the beginning, I did a little bit about saying I've got a new bopper from Corum. Very good. I've used it. This is my second one, and I'll tell you what it is. It's my second bopper, what do you want to call them. They work really well. I say, I lost my last one because the actual swivel popped off at the end. I came back with just a ring. I'd literally come back with just a ring. So it weren't the line that let me down, it was the bloody spawn. So just be wary of that if you do use them quite heavily. I mean, mine might have been a freak of nature, I don't know, but I've lost one. Always keep my eye open on that one. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for this FAQ. For simple reason, I did it in my office, in my studio, for simple reason it's easier to do it here than it is on the bank. It means taking a lot of stuff with you, and I couldn't really be bothered doing that. But like I say, keep your eyes out. There's going to be a few more videos hopefully coming on this next 4 weeks. There's one out on Saturday on Monday afternoon, Monday evening, 5 o'clock. So that'll be out tomorrow night for you to watch. I was on the River Ribble for about 4 or 5 hours. That what a bad old do, but didn't catch nothing. But I'll let you watch that. Sorry for the spoiler. But yeah, and that's pretty much it really. That is the FAQ that people wanted to know about the lines, what I use and whatnot. So there you are. Thanks for watching that. Hope it's been interesting to you. If you get any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll answer them the best I can. Well, that's my personal opinion on this particular line, what I use. Like I said, the drag line, I've not used it before. I'll keep you updated on that. I also said to you in a couple of videos from a few years since about the carp line that I would do a review on that, and it's took quite a while. Like I say, I've never had a problem with it. So anyways, thanks for watching. Tight lines everyone, mind the pun. And I'll see you all hopefully shortly. I was going to do a live stream next week if I can, so stay tuned for that as well. So see you all later.